Today on Cinematic Anarchy, I sit down with Sarah from Two Chicks Talking Flicks to interview Daniel Davis and Brett Taylor, the director and producer of the film Slaughter Beach. But first, a word from, well, not our sponsors, but our friends from Two Chicks Talkin Flicks.
This is Two Chicks Talkin Flicks, where we review movies. We try to dig deeper and go more in depth.
Profound for me.
Yeah, for me, I'm just like, what? We even bring up relevant topics.
I remember from Punky Brewster that you don't go inside the fridge.
And we're here to have those tough conversations.
Mm-hmm. And she was wearing a white dress, which
was yellow.
Huh?
It was yellow. So if this sounds like the podcast for you, please enjoy. New episodes every Tuesday.
Hey guys, this is your warning. We do post up spoilers. At times we're relatively offensive. We use vulgar language. So if you think that any of those are gonna offend you in any way, shape, or form, take your step back right now. Cause buddy, this is not the place for you. Anywho, have fun listening to us. And yeah, this has been your final warning.
Welcome to Cinematic Anarchy, where today we have a trifecta of people joining me. First, we're going to go ahead and introduce Sarah from the Two Chicks Talking Flicks podcast, who will be my co-host for this episode today. Hello, Sarah.
Hi, sorry. I was too excited.
We have the honor of having two guys from a film that we recently reviewed, Slaughter Beach. They are going to discuss their film with us today. We have the director and writer Daniel C. Davis.
Hello, how do you do?
And with him today is the producer, Brett Taylor.
Hey, everyone.
And I can stop tripping over my tongue for about 2 seconds, because I definitely did that as I was walking into the beginning of this. And we're going to...
Did you take an edible today, Chris?
Oh, no. I stayed away from it today so that I don't blank like I did the last time. I had a podcast just a little bit ago where I brought somebody on, and I had a couple edibles beforehand, and they talked through the entire podcast with me just zoned out. So I definitely popped in a few times, but I blanked the entire podcast. They carried the whole thing.
See, I can do that naturally just through ADHD.
Right?
Right. Yeah. Well, that's my problem. Severe ADHD, along with edibles, they don't work. It doesn't work together. It doesn't focus you any better at all. So about a couple weeks back, we watched your film, and I personally absolutely loved it. So I'm really honored to have you guys here today. I grew up watching a lot of old, like, Lloyd Kaufman stuff and trauma horror comedies, and I felt a lot of that old nostalgia watching this film. So.
Nice. Awesome. That's exactly what we were going for. So, and we actually got accepted into Trauma Dance, so it'll be screening in New York in a couple weeks.
Okay, just a little jealous.
Wow.
Just a little. Because I absolutely love old Uncle Lloyd. He's
great. Because we worked with him recently in our friend's short film called The Boog, and I got to share a scene with him as like a reporter, and he played like the mayor of the town. It was great.
I'm definitely gonna have to look that up.
Completely terrifying because I'm like 3 feet away from Lloyd Kaufman and feeding him a line. It's just like, oh god, there's a legend right there.
So if people don't know, who's Lloyd Kaufman?
Lloyd Kaufman is the owner of Trauma Entertainment, the creator of The Toxic Avenger.
Oh, okay.
I keep forgetting, Sarah, you're not as steeped in the deeply independent cinema as I am.
True, but also, there are other people that may be listening who don't. So I was...
Lloyd Kaufman.
That's very true.
Owner of Peter Troma Entertainment. Creator of the Toxic Avenger.
Toxic Avenger, Class of Nukem High.
Class of Nukem High, Poultrygeist. That's probably my personal favorite.
Cannibal the Musical.
Watched Class of Nukem High recently. The second one at the drive-in at Tromathon in Mahoning Drive-In Theater. A lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were all there. They were actually promoting the release of the Toxic Crusaders video game, which will be on all platforms coming soon.
Yeah, that's looks like a lot of fun. It plays out like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game.
And you get to play as all the classic Crusader characters.
Hopefully it doesn't play out like the old NES game. That was rough.
Actually, I personally like the original NES game.
I
Everybody,
loved it, but it was tough.
The dam level was really, really hard, but after a couple tries, you get through it. I mean, you're left with one turtle by the end, but you still get through it.
I think I went through many a controller trying to get through that particular game. Just destroyed
just throwing it at the wall. It's okay, got to buy a new controller.
Well, those little NES controllers were not all that durable.
No, they weren't.
No, not at all.
Actually, come to think of it, they kind of were. You can kill someone with a NES controller.
I might have been just extra rough on them then.
That's what was missing from this movie.
I mean, maybe they knew that people were getting murdered with NES controllers, because if you notice, the N64 had the three legs on it, and that third leg, the middle one, that's definitely punch someone's eye out.
There you go. That's a next film for Bludgeon Man. They'll use just an arsenal of NES controllers.
It's a Nintendo Shuriken.
Yeah, we can have the video game nerd or whatever. Wait, we could just get James Rolfe to be a third Defender Bender. There you go.
So why don't you go ahead and just... I wanted to bring you guys on and at least give you a little time to sort of promote your project, Slaughter Beach, and kind of introduce yourselves, let them know what you're doing and what you're up to.
Okay. Brett, if you want to take the lead. No, I'm kidding. All right, well, Slaughter Beach is a... Slaughter Beach is a tongue-in-cheek horror comedy in the vein of Troma and the Evil Dead trilogy and the Basket Case sequels. So it's just a mixture of light campy comedy and gory, grotesque slaughtering. And it covers the ground of these two nitwit wannabe superheroes that have to go on the trail and take down this killer fisherman who's on the prowl. So I came up with the idea because I always wanted to do a underdog comedy, because I grew up with stuff like Pee Wee Herman and Ernest Scared Stupid, and obviously I talked to you guys earlier. I'm obsessed with Ghostbusters, so I always wanted to do a comedy that was these unlikely heroes getting themselves into this weird situation. And I had that concept, but I didn't really have a villain yet. And we came up with the villain when we were on our way to a gig down in Rehoboth Beach, and there's actually a town in Delaware called Slaughter Beach. And then that's where we're oh, there it is, and it all clicked and came together there.
I wanted to ask, did you guys get a little inspiration from Herman Melville for the main character, for Fishman Sam? Just a little bit?
Maybe just a little. Well, actually, the inspiration for Fishman Sam was a mixture of a couple things. Me and Jim, our co-producer who also played Fishman Sam, we're big fans of Nothing But Trouble, the Dan Aykroyd movie. So there were little hints of Dan Aykroyd's character, Judge Alvin, in Fishman Sam. A little bit of Freddy Krueger, obviously, and a little bit of Robert Shaw from Jaws, and basically make a demented version of Captain Carl from Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Okay, now that you mention it, I can see that a little bit.
I did mention that it kind of reminded me of Jaws.
Yeah, in the bait shop scene is a complete nonchalant ode to Jaws in the Indianapolis monologue.
That was a very, very difficult scene to edit.
Yeah,
it took us days.
Well, also because Fishman Sam was not originally Jim, so we had to go back and do the reshoots.
Yes.
We had to Eric Stoltz a certain character.
So I had to go back and just sort
of...
of...
Not because he was a bad actor. He was a terrific actor. He actually, like, lives in Florida now. And our film is, like, you know, it gets done when it gets done. It's basically kind of like a long contract kind of movie because we were paying out of pocket to make it. So it took us, like, 3 years to shoot, and he just couldn't commit to it. He had, like, other stuff going on at the time. He came to the first shoot with his beard actually, like, shaved. And I was like, dude, where's the beard? He's like, oh, I had to cut it off because I had a commercial shoot the other day. You just shoot me from behind. Like, okay. I was like, as long as you can grow it back by next time, it's all good. It's all good. So eventually we were just like, after we shot, I still gave him a credit as like a fake shimp, you know, the Sam Raimi credit. And I was like, hey man, if you're too busy, I was like, well, we're going to have to just kind of recast it. He's like, yeah, dude. And he's like, I understand these things take time. It was like a completely mutual understanding. There was no bad blood between me and the original Fishman character. So there's a little bit of a background in that scene right there. Yeah.
There you go. You can do like an anniversary like episode or a Blu-ray release somewhere down the road.
Yeah,
release,
and I actually
some of
wanted
the
him to
original
come back.
footage.
Yeah, I actually wanted him to come back to play a villain, but he already moved by that point.
Ah,
so.
Okay. Well, distance does screw with things a little bit.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So did you have any particular challenges with the practical effects for the film?
Actually, no. That was probably the easiest part to get done because we have a fantastic gore effects artist. Her name was Isabel Zell, Trauma Effects. She's soon to be Isabel Ritchie. You can look her up on Trauma Effects. Not to be confused with Trauma Effects. Trauma FX.
And Dan, it's Trauma Queen.
Trauma Queen Effects.
Trauma Queen Effects.
There you go.
Trauma.
Even I messed it up. Sorry, Izzy.
So I'll take some notes on that. I'll go look that up. No, I mean, honestly, compliments to her. I love the practical effects throughout the film. There were a lot of, I wouldn't say particularly gory scenes that I enjoyed. The guy getting run through. You guys made great use of a lot of the fishing equipment, things that I wouldn't have thought you could kill with. So,
the clam.
Murdering a girl with a fishing net.
Yeah.
I mean,
what was your question, Chris? I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was saying, just going through the different things that people got murdered with throughout the film.
Oh yeah.
Hooks, nets, and
we didn't want didn't want to be too like I Know What You Did Last Summer with because that's a similar looking villain. All he did was kill people with the hook all the time. We wanted to be different and actually like be a little bit more creative with the kills. So we would go to like thrift shops and everything and go into like the sporting goods section and find like old like fishing equipment that we could kill people with.
Like the dock mate.
Like the dock mate and squeeze someone to death with a dock mate.
Which like one of her, I think the very first kill we did.
Yeah, that was the first kill we shot.
Mm-hmm.
So what was your favorite part of making this film?
Completing it.
That would be fun. That would be good.
No, I think my favorite part is just being on set with my friends because Ethan, John, and Jim, they're all like really good friends of mine. So just being on set with them was like the best part. Even if we didn't agree 100% of the time, we were like, there's a line from what's it called, Disaster Artist. Like the worst day on set is still a great day, or something like that. I
what about you, Brett?
Yeah, basically, essentially, all what Dan said. It's like creating a family of friends and that are filmmakers. Took us like total like 4 years to complete it, 4 or 5 years to complete it, and it really like we grew as filmmakers and as family with all the cast and crew. So you'll see reoccurring roles in our future projects with some of the actors and behind the scenes cast and crew, because that's really what it all is about at the end is having fun and creating a vision with people who you love to be around to make it.
Yeah, exactly. And it took 4 years, not because it took like 4 years to actually shoot it. It took maybe about like 2 summers to shoot everything. And shoot all the principal photography. And then we took another summer to do like inserts and like special effects shots, and then another year to pretty much edit it all together and sit with like the composer to lay all the tracks down.
We definitely really learned a lot in terms of the process of lighting and audio and camera angles. To
audio was the easiest part, wasn't it, Brett?
It's yes, Dan, yes. But yeah, speaking of that, I just got new audio equipment and I'm super excited to use it. That's actually what we were talking about before we hopped on here.
Yeah, because we're working on a new short called The Fiddler, and it'll be part of a much broader film called Ultimate Terror. It's going to be a segment in a creep show-esque anthology film. So we're going to be doing one segment for that film, which will be produced by Jeremy Moorhead from Epic Film Guys.
And it stars Bludgeon Man. And
the actor who played Bludgeon Man.
Okay, I was going to ask.
Not the actual character.
The actor who played John McCoy. And then the other guy, his co-star, his name is Keith Crosby, the actor. He played the guy who gets impaled by one of
the clam rake.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Clam rake.
One of my favorite kills in the movie.
I didn't spoil it, Dan, but thanks.
But well, it's not spoiled, but they're not seeing it, so they'll have to watch the movie to see how it plays out.
No spoilers at all.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to have to look that up. I'll actually reach out to you guys because I'll definitely be interested in seeing that when it comes out.
Yeah, we're right in the middle of doing it right now. So I would say we're like, 45% through?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And the hardest part about it is
scheduling.
It's the distance that's the hardest part.
Yeah.
We have a location that's 2.5 hours away.
Oh.
Ooh.
Like pre-plan it like several weeks ahead and get a bunch of, but it's definitely worth the drive. The location it has like this phenomenal mood to it. That is
The weird thing is that it's just my friend's house and it's just like this abandoned place in his yard. On his property.
You'll see more effects by Isabel Azell.
She'll be doing the effects in Fiddler as well. So.
Yep.
Is there anything that you guys learned while making that movie that you are trying to change or make better in any future movies?
Yes, absolutely. Because I remember when we listened to your review, how you talked about the leg shot on the beach when the girl gets choked by the net.
Yeah.
That day was so hot. we weren't even thinking. I was like, because we were only allowed to shoot around the shed, we couldn't shoot inside the shed. Because I thought of that while editing, and I was like, dude, we should have just had her hands just kind of creep into the doorway of the shed. And then Brett kept reminding me, he's like, dude, we couldn't. We could only shoot around. I'm like, oh yeah. So
I was so focused on how crappy the audio was that day because apparently our transmitter box blew out and it was half the dialogue was basically butchered, so we had to. That was a really hard scene to edit.
It was,
yeah,
and it was such a simple scene, but it was so hard to edit because of all the glaring issues of everything that happened that day. That was probably the worst day.
One of them.
So,
so going back to your question, Sarah. Yeah, there's a lot of things that we did learn on the set of Slaughter Beach that we're going into the new projects with. It's just all right, let's make sure that any logistics in the script, let's put more logic in them when we shoot them. You want anything to add to that, Brett? Any other worst days for you?
Oh, God. Ooh, we could go on for hours about all the problems we had. Like the drunk guy filming the climax, stumbling in and out of his car.
Oh, God.
Accusing us of being on private property when there was no private property sign around, and it was perfectly legal for us to film there.
Yeah, this was during the end, Chris. You know, when Fish Van Sam is approaching the last victim at the end, I won't spoil anything on that part.
We always warn people of spoilers right at the beginning.
Okay.
So we are sort of a spoilers-filled podcast. So we always warn people at the very end. We have a warning that's set up. So if they're listening, they know there's going to be spoilers.
Okay. Well, for my sake, I'll say the last victim, quote unquote, is being approached by Fish Van Sam, and all we were able to film was those two shots. You know, the shot when he's sharpening his hook on the block.
Yes.
We got that.
And singing the sea shanty of Lulu.
We got the approach, and then that's when a big truck came up on the dock, and they were like, and then some drunken dude came out, and like beer cans are falling out of his truck, and he's stumbling to us, and he's got this like booming like Freddy Krueger type voice, like, "What are you guys doing, you motherfucker? You gotta get off my I was like, sir, there's a slight misunderstanding. Like, you know, we're not touching the boats. We're being completely respectful. We're just using the dock as the background for a little scene we're doing. You're like, no. You got these cameras on here right now. The party's over, motherfucker. And then a week later, we go back and we asked around, and I'm like, are we allowed to film here? Like, yeah, you're allowed to film here. Like, what? I don't know what that dude's problem was.
Maybe he just wanted to be in the film.
He was very camera shy then because he told us to turn all the cameras off. But maybe he wanted to be lead character. He wanted all the cameras off everybody else and on him. So
it was also like one of the hottest days of the year, and we had a bunch of like horse flies attacking us. And there was like dozens of flies in my car for like a couple weeks. I had to, because how much. It was.
Yeah, it was.
So always set it during winter time.
We tried to film once during winter time, and it did not turn out well. You're wearing like summer clothes, and it's like 10 degrees out. It's not fun. That was not fun for the actors. So we were like, all right, you know what? We're gonna wait till next summer.
Yeah, and
that's why it took. That's why it took a little bit of time to get the film done because we had to shoot in the summertime. So.
And Dan, that was part of the original climax before we rewrote it and all that. Which, funny, is, well, only knowledge, because you guys couldn't really tell, but there are some shots from the original climax implemented into the new final climax. Like, how many shots? Like, 3 or 4 different
maybe
shots?
Maybe 3 or 4 during the fight made it in.
And then not that, but there was other shots from another place and another place. So a total of like 4 different locations we had to blend in to create that entire sequence just because of this one drunken guy kicked us out.
I honestly wouldn't have been able to tell, but now I know. So
the power of editing.
Yep.
I did want to ask if this is going to serve as sort of an origin story. Will there be more adventures of Awesome Boy and Bludgeon Man?
You know, we've been getting that question a lot lately. And I say yes, because Ethan and John, they want to do more. And so does Jim. There may be a rematch of Fishman Sam against the Defender Benders in the future.
Oh, yeah.
How old are they supposed to be?
It's not really clear. I always, in my head canon, is that Ethan and John are like foster brothers. So, but in real life, John is like 15 years older than Ethan.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like if you had said one of them was like 21, I would believe that, but the other one is definitely not anywhere near that.
No, John was like in his his early to mid 30s when we shot it. Yeah.
I mean, I just saw them as 2 like 20-something guys living in his parents' basement.
Yeah,
that's kind of how I felt.
Just 2 slackers that don't know what to do with each other.
So,
and
they kind of give that Bill and Ted vibe.
And the funny thing is, That was the first time in that basement was the first time that they ever met each other, too. That was the that we filmed.
Yeah, because we got rained out the first day of shooting. So we had to, like, think of something quick to do a interior, because John has to drive from pretty much DC to here, which is like a 2.5 hour drive. So it's just like, well, John's here. He made the trip. We might as well shoot something. So we shot the first scene with them playing Go Fish. That was the first thing we ever shot with them.
I was a little surprised to hear that because there's a lot of chemistry between the two of them.
Yeah, they hit it off like pretty quickly, and I told them going into this like I wanted it to have that Clerksy vibe between the two of them, to be like the Dante and the Randall. They've known each other for years.
You said that. I was racking my brain for there was a definite feel between the two of them that I had, and I was racking my brain for like buddy comedies, trying to think of like these guys feel very familiar. You said Clerks and it clicked. Okay.
See, people say Clerks, everybody thinks of Jay and Silent Bob, but they don't think of Jay and Randall all the time. They're kind of like best friends.
They're the deep cut besties of the Kevin Smith franchise.
Yes.
The View Askew universe, which we actually stopped and visited recently because Slaughter Beach was screened at the Highlands Comedy Fest, which was like a drive-in fest near Red Bank, New Jersey. So I was like, hey, Red Bank, New Jersey, let's stop at the Quick Stop and get a snack.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say that you went to Jay and Silent Bob's secret stash.
We didn't have time to do that, 'cause I think the stash was like 15, 20 minutes away from the festival. Otherwise, we would have.
As for the festival, we won the William Asher Award.
Oh, wow.
Which, he's a very famous 50s and 60s television and movie producer for like beach comedies.
Yeah, so all the Frankie Avalon, Frankie and Annette beach movies, like he was a producer on. And that's what the director of the festival thought it would be a clever award to give us.
That's awesome. Besides Kevin Smith, obviously, what other directors inspire you?
Well, obviously, like I told you guys earlier, Ghostbusters. So huge on Ivan Reitman and Harold Ramis, Paul Rubens, and John Paragon. There's not many people know that Jambi, right there, I have his autograph right there, was actually Paul Rubens' writing partner on a lot of the Pee-wee content. So, and his co-producer. So they were. So John Paragon needs to have that limelight a little bit. So I'll give him that shout out there. So they're two of my influences. Sam Raimi, obviously. There's a lot of Raimi-esque shots throughout the movie. Plus that campy Army of Darkness vibe. Who else? Brian Usna. Does anyone know who Brian Usna is? Mm-hmm. He directed Bride of Reanimator. He directed the Dentist series. He also directed Return of the Living Dead Part 3. He was also producer on the early Stuart Gordon movies, such as the first Reanimator, Dolls, From Beyond. Who other directors do I like? Tim Burton.
Okay.
He's up there.
I was waiting for you to mention Lloyd Kaufman, too.
And Lloyd Kaufman. I gave Lloyd some love earlier. Obviously, he's one of my favorites. So.
We've been over that. We don't need to mention that again. We're good.
What about you, Brett?
Ooh. Dan named a few already, like Brian Usna and Stuart Gordon. I actually have their entire, basically, all their movies on Blu-ray up in a little shrine on my wall. And I went to the Monster Mania in 2022, and I got Barbara Crampton and Jeffrey Combs to sign $400 worth of material. So now I have to get Brian Usna to sign some stuff. But other than those guys, I'm a huge Italian horror guy, like Fulci, Argento, Umberto Lenzi, Mario Bava. I can go on. Don't get me started on Italian.
Don't get him started on Giallo, guys. Please don't.
I could go on for hours about how influential the Italian cinema has been, not only for the horror genre, but for cinema as a whole. Like, especially with Sergio Leone. Like, I'm starting to get into westerns right now, spaghetti westerns.
I told him to start with the Dollars trilogy because I think that's the most iconic.
I actually just watched. I'm gonna start with the Dollars trilogy now, but yesterday I watched Bone Tomahawk with Kurt Russell in it.
Oh, yeah.
That movie is intense. Took me by surprise how good it was.
I wholeheartedly.
That's the first movie I've heard you guys that I actually know what that is.
Oh, really? Well, we're big Kurt Russell fans. Like, John Carpenter is a huge influence on us, especially me as a horror nerd. Who else? Sam Raimi. I have the whole Evil Dead Groovy collection up on my wall. His Evil Dead was the movie that got me into filmmaking and wanted to be a filmmaker. I did go through a Stanley Kubrick phase here and there, so...
Who didn't, right?
Yeah, we all did.
I did.
But, yeah, my genres and taste in directors jump around a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But if I had to pick, like, a top 3, it would be Lucio Fulci, Sam Raimi, Mario Bava would be part of them.
It's a hell of a top 3.
Mm-hmm.
Argento would be number 4. Oh, God. I also love Charles Band and Full Moon.
Oh, man, I forgot to mention Charles Band. I love
Charles
and Ghoulies.
I'm really staring at a Dr. Mordred Blu-ray right now.
And you have the Ghoulies poster in your room. I don't know why I didn't mention Richard Band. I feel so bad now.
Obviously.
And I'm wearing my Michael Keaton shirt, so I don't know why I didn't mention Tim Burton earlier.
Yeah, and Lloyd Kaufman especially, too. So you always got to honor Lloyd. Save the best for last.
Yeah.
When they listen to this, they're going to be so mad they weren't listed first, you know?
I used to...
Chris, you got a question?
No, they're really chill.
Yeah. We met some good guys at that through Troma, like Dan Blake. He's super cool. He owns his own... he manages a comic book shop down in Fenwick Island in Delaware, which is... Oh, sorry, Maryland. Is it Delaware or Maryland?
It's Delaware.
Yeah.
It's like on the cusp.
So I'm going to ask a slightly self-serving question just for a minute. I absolutely love the film. I say this because I went out, you guys gave us the screener to watch. After watching the screener several times, I went out and bought the Blu-ray so that I could own it.
Right.
Okay, so that being said, are there any other projects you guys have worked on that I should look out for?
This was the first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have a really really low down YouTube page of because when we first started Clockout Films, we wanted to do go around covering cons and interview cosplayers and booths and tables, and then we kind of just faded away from that because we had to focus so much on getting Slaughter Beach completed and done.
And if you really
what? Sorry, go ahead, Brett.
If you want to really do a deep dive, go back to our college years with,
and find
NCCD video. NCCDE. We worked for the county government in Delaware, and we did a bunch of on the street interviews. I shot it. Dan was usually the guy who's
Brett, the point is to get people interested in more projects, not disinterested.
But yeah, those were our college year projects when we were interns for the Delaware County.
Yeah, because we came up with Slaughter Beach while we were still working for the county, doing videos for the county.
Yes,
we were developing the script then. So once the script was complete and pre-production was all set to go, that was pretty much the priority.
So did you guys go to film school?
Yeah, we went to Wilmington University for studio production. Mm-hmm. That's where we all met.
I was going to be a RTVF major here in Texas, and it's film, radio, and television. But I was like, I don't want to judge movies. I love movies too much. Now I review them for podcasts. So,
So if I'm talking to a Texas person, I can now do this quote.
Oh.
The stars at night are big and bright.
Deep in the heart of Texas.
Perfect. Thank you.
I had to clap. Clapping. It's a big deal. It's a big deal here. So I know you guys said you like horror films. What are your favorite horror films? And before you tell me, I want to tell you one of mine, Sleepaway Camp. And I felt like your movie had a feel of Sleepaway Camp to it. So what are your guys' favorite horror films?
Before we answer that, do you also like the other Sleepaway Camp films?
I have all five. I have the full box collection, so I have all 5 of them. Oh. I honestly have only watched the first 2. Maybe
I've only seen the first 3. I haven't seen the last 2 in the collection.
Yeah.
Felissa Rose was actually going to be in the Boog, because if Brian couldn't get Lloyd, he was going to go try and get Felissa Rose to play the mayor. So that's a little bit of background on the upcoming The Boog, which should be done soon, right?
Yeah, they're working on some really cool special effects that take time. So,
okay, I think that more or less will probably end up on Troma Now.
Oh yeah,
without a doubt.
And
you can find it there.
And Red Cup Films, the people who did The Boog, Brian Wild. He also has a short film called Box Ann that is on Troma Now as well.
And like I said, what we're working on right now, we're working on The Fiddler. That's going to be part of a anthology film close to Tales from the Crypt and Creep Show. And then hopefully, if we get pre-production done by the time next summer hits, we'll start our next comedy, Hex Girlfriend.
Mm-hmm. But for The Fiddler
is a little bit more serious.
Super serious rather than a comedy. It's going to scare the pants off you guys, I'll tell you.
Oh my. You made me cringe, Brett. Thank you.
Are you guys going to try to put it into like South by Southwest?
South by Southwest? We'll try, yeah. That's up to Jeremy if we're allowed to kind of put it in the festival as a solo film. So.
Mm-hmm.
If you do, you let me know. I'll come see that.
Yeah, we're just super excited for you guys.
John doesn't really. I'm making him do a little bit more of a grounded character. He was like all funny and silly in Slaughter Beach. This I'm like having him play kind of the villainous role, and he's playing like this kind of like old, jaded, cranky old man that owns a farm. So you guys will see how it all plans out.
Yeah,
he's got a lot of range as an actor. It's weird to me how he's not in a lot more projects. Like before Slaughter Beach, he was only in Easter Sunday, which is another slasher comedy.
And Dan, don't forget, he was in something else.
Bob the Roach.
Yes.
Yeah.
Before Bob the Roach, he was in one of our NCC TV.
Oh yeah. When we covered Monster Mania, that's how we met John. He was dressed in a Roach costume at Monster Mania.
So yeah, we're super excited to show you guys that short and to show you what Jeremy is going to come up with the full anthology film.
Yeah. So far, we're going into this project pretty blind. I have no idea what the other stories are going to be, or if mine matches up stylistically.
I mean, it's not a bad idea to stand out.
No, not at all. I mean, Jeremy liked the dailies and like the clips I showed him so far. So yeah, we're looking forward to getting this one in the can pretty soon. I want people to see it as soon as possible. Back
to Sarah's question, though. Favorite horror film?
Favorite horror film. Like I said, ADHD. There you go. I hope you cut these up, Chris.
I was like, maybe they'll get around to it. It's cool.
Trying to steer you away from that question because that is a very difficult question to answer. To be honest,
yeah, the list goes on. It's like where do you start? Because there's so many sub levels of horror. If I were to list a top 5.
I think top 5 would probably work a little bit better than just trying to single it out to number 1.
Yeah.
Now, Sarah, real quick, when you say this question, what's our favorite horror movies? Is it going to have to be strictly horror, or is it horror comedy, or horror thriller, horror, just there's so many sub-genres of
horror drama,
Yeah, anything in that category. Anything what would you recommend for someone who, doesn't watch a lot of horror movies but wants to? What would you toss out there?
Well, horror comedies are probably the easiest and funnest to get in if you're a newcomer to horror. But if you want, there has been a lot of big ghost fads. And the ghost horror genre has been very huge, especially in the past, 20 years. But if people really like that whole genre, I suggest going a little bit back into the late 90s to early 2000s and go to Korean and Japanese cinema, like Nori the Curse or the original...
Your top 5 horror films, Brett, go.
Yeah, so my top 5 horror films... Yeah, I just drew a blank.
Yeah.
I'm going to go on a tangent if I do that, so...
All right, how about... I'll go first. All right. First, Evil Dead, 1981, because that's pretty huge for me. That's one. Because what that film did is it showed that that anybody can make a horror movie. Mm-hmm. Like, Romero did it in, the late 60s with Night of the Living Dead, but I think Evil Dead kind of, took that and, ran with it, that concept. Number 2, the original Exorcist, because William Friedkin, rest in peace. Number 3, Hitchcock's Psycho. Number 4, maybe the original Poltergeists.
They're back.
Number 5, the original Basket Case. And honorable mentions, Return of the Living Dead Part 3. And, let me see. Oh no, Brett, you go. I'll have to think on that. I'll have to think on my other honorable mention.
Wall of Blu-rays for horror films right now.
Oh, you know what? Cronenberg's The Fly.
Oh, yeah, I was actually going to be like, what about The Fly, Dad?
I know. Because when you're, a horror nerd, just think of all these movies and you're trying to,
exactly
decipher which ones you want to put to the top of the list.
Is that's why I have Jeff Goldblum
DVD?
Yes, the Jeff Goldblum version.
Yeah, creepy. Yeah.
The least Jeff Goldblum movie ever.
Yes.
I saw that as a kid.
Yeah, same. I caught it on TV and it still creeped me out, even though they cut away from all the gore.
When he starts to no, can't talk about it.
All right, I think I have a few that I can do a little shout out in no specific order for these films, though. But on my wall,
I can just go to 10. So.
Yeah, well, Evil Dead is a big one, a big influence. My whole Evil Dead Groovy collection, cool investment. I need to get Bruce's signature on it, but I have Kelly and Pablo's signature in it for the Groovy collection. Pumpkinhead. I love Pumpkinhead. I've had this big obsession with him, especially trying to get the atmosphere for the fiddler, going with that old farmer type feel. Let's see here. Basket Case, the entire trilogy is phenomenal. And got Stuart Gordon's films, the Reanimator trilogy. The Dentist is a great one. Oh man. Ooh, Hitting the Pendulum by Stuart Gordon. That's a good one, too. I just recently watched that. And then 2 more I can name off here. This is out of my Blu-ray collection. It is going to be A Bay of Blood and Black Sunday by Mario Bava. Mm-hmm.
What if someone said Scream was their favorite? Is that okay?
Yeah, Scream's a great series. I actually just saw the 6th.
So good.
I enjoyed it for what it was. Still like the first 2 the best. Mm-hmm. And you can't beat Wes Craven in terms of a horror producer and director. He's very prolific and iconic. Which actually, when we were talking about favorite directors, that's one of the directors that we forgot to mention.
You know what? We forgot to mention John Carpenter.
Yeah, I said.
Yeah.
I think you fawned over John Carpenter while we were talking about Kurt Russell.
Like, there's so many names that are going through your head, like I said.
Exactly.
You can't bunch them all into one little list.
And what'd you say, Chris?
I said I think they fawned over John Carpenter back when we were talking about Kurt Russell.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then you got Lucio Fulci with The Beyond.
Because I'm looking at my Halloween 3 poster over there. I'm like, I forgot John Carpenter.
Halloween 3. That's a great one. Gotta always mention that.
I'd be terrible at a eulogy, you know.
What if I wanted to be really scared? Because I feel like there's no, like, really, really scary movies like there were back in the day when, you know, like the first time I saw Carrie and that hand pops up from the grave, I really thought it, like, really popped up. I watch it now, I'm like, it just slowly meanders up through the grave. It's not scary. But as a kid, it terrified me and my best friend. So what is a movie that, like, really scared the crap out of you? Do you guys know any?
I remember the first movie that I wasn't able to sleep from, and it's completely hilarious now because I saw it as a kid and I always thought it was going to drop down in front of my window. Which was the original Steve McQueen Blob. Because the Blob was, like, indestructible. Like, you couldn't kill it unless you, like, froze it. I was like, what am I going to do? Throw ice cubes at it from the fridge? So when I was a little kid, I saw that on one of the original Monster Vision airings back in the 90s. Give Joe Bob some love right there. Yeah, I always thought it like because I was sleeping at night. I always thought the Blob meteorite was going to, like, hit near my window, and then was going to, like, crawl up through my window cracks.
So did Flubber really freak you out when you got older?
Oh, absolutely. No, I'm kidding.
Flubber's one of those.
But actually, I think that's why Ghostbusters 2 creeped me out. The slime river always creeped me out.
Mm-hmm.
You know what creeped me out as a kid? I had Large Marge from Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Always creeped me out. Zelda from Pet Sematary. Terrifying.
The kid from Pet Sematary creeps me out.
The weird thing is that horror movies, like, I think I said this in another podcast, like, horror movies, like, never really creep me out as much as just, like, regular movies with scary parts in them.
Yes.
Because we grew up with stuff like Neverending Story. There's some scary shit in that movie.
You know, it never scared me. I'm not afraid of clowns, but I am terrified of drainage ditches. I'm always, like, super weary about my keys. I'm just always afraid I'm going to throw my keys down the drainage ditch, and then, you know, maybe I might be killed by a weird monster. But
the first film
to have... Sorry, go ahead, Chris.
Oh, sorry. The first film to have any kind of traumatic effect on me was back when I was around maybe 11, 12 years old, and I saw an old... Well, not old. It was new at the time, but Zelda Rubinstein movie called Anguish.
Oh my God! Yes, I didn't see a great movie.
I loved watching movies in the theater, and for a while I would not go back. Just it was one of those weird movies that the movie's going on the screen, and then you're watching people watch the movie on the screen while other shit's going down there, and then the movie sort of leaks into reality. So it was
one very meta film.
Yeah, I've never seen this. I'll have to check it out.
yeah, that sounds really cool.
Except it was called Anguish.
I've only been able to find... I haven't seen it streaming anywhere. I've only been able to find, like, a VHS copy through, like, eBay or I think they still sell it through Amazon.
Yeah, I can't find anything either to add to my collection because that's like an instant purchase.
VHS and they have a DVD pressing of it, but I'm not sure if it's a legal DVD pressing of it.
There's a new one from 2015.
No, this is 1987. Very distinctive cover. It's just literally Zelda Rubinstein, part of her face, and just this hypnotic swirl of red on the face of the original cover.
You know, you can make some
Oh yeah, I know that poster. That's a very
You can make some
very
parallel.
recognizable poster.
The Dark
Now I
Knight,
know. Now I know the title that goes with that poster.
The Dark Knight Rises tragedy in that movie has some weird parallels to it. The shooting.
Very much so.
Oh yeah.
All right, so that's about all I have for time for today, unfortunately.
Oh, no, the air. To end that on. I'm sorry.
We're gonna end it on that. The Dark Knight. We'll end it on you guys kind of telling people where they can pick up their own copy of the Slaughter Beach film. You know.
Okay. Well, you can pick up a copy of the Slaughter Beach film at srscinema.com. You can find, or just search Google SRS Slaughter Beach. It'll come right up in like the first Google search. Blu-rays are pretty limited right now, but we will be heading to DVD and streaming in the next couple months. So, like us on Clockout Films at Instagram. Or I just recently made a Slaughter Beach Facebook, so look up Slaughter Beach Movie on Facebook. Like us there for updates.
Why haven't I found you on Facebook yet? I'm going to have to go look that up.
Yeah, I just made it like a week ago. We already have like 20 likes right now.
Hey.
I can add the links to all three in the description of the podcast. That way people can find you a lot easier. Thank you both for joining us here today and promoting your film and having a nice, lively discussion.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah.
I actually never asked you what your top 5 favorite horror movies are. I think we should end it on that.
My top 5 favorite horror movies? Let's see. No, you're going to make me think for a minute. I wasn't prepared for this. Put me on the spot, why don't you?
I'm sorry. I'm just curious.
It's all right. I thought I had slipped out. We were fine. Nobody had asked me anything. Just when I thought I was out, they pull me back in.
Pull me back in.
All right. So, Evil Dead, definitely. Anguish, like I said, is one of my favorite films, just because it was the first film to traumatize me. So, that stuck with me for a long time. There is a film that I watched recently that I'm going to just add as an honorable mention at the end, but it's a film called Kotoko that I particularly liked. Trying to remember the guy's name for the life of me. Hold on a minute. I'm not going to get up and cross the room and dig through my collection to find him. But that's like an honorable mention. If we're going for... I think this would be more comedy horror with Frank Henenlotter, but Frankenhooker.
Oh, yeah.
Was one of my favorites. I'm going to create a lot of dead space
he always
here.
says, he's like, I don't make horror
things.
comedies. I make exploitation films.
Yes, right.
He says that about the Basket Case series.
Well, whether or not he calls it an exploitation film, it falls into that category.
I mean, a bunch of monsters on a bus singing "Personality." Oh, it's like, okay, yeah, this is completely serious, right?
Well, the sequels to Basket Case were a lot less serious than the original one was.
Oh, well, yeah, without a doubt. But anyway, sorry, cut you off. I think we're at number 3. Oh,
no, that's fine. A very unconventional favorite, going with Lloyd Kaufman's catalog, Attack of the Killer Condom. Was one. I'm just going. These are films that brought me perverse joy growing up, finding VHS copies of them, going to Suncoast Video. I would walk from where I lived to a local mall, which was probably about 15 miles away, and walk back just with a bag full of cutout bin VHS cassettes.
I think that was the time, man. I think streaming kind of ruined that experience. You find the physical movie, there was just something about it.
And that
my grandparents owned a video store, so I will defend video stores to my death.
I wish they still existed. I don't like the Red Box. And in all honesty, I like the community of, video rental stores. Just kind of going out, browsing the aisles, getting advice on what to watch from either the employees or other people that are wandering the aisles looking for things.
And all you had was the box and what it said on the back, and that's it.
That's it.
No one asked me what.
To round out the list, Clive Barker's Nightbreed.
Oh, okay.
That's a forgotten gem right there.
It is.
Very.
I absolutely love that. That was one of the first movies. We had a group of people that got together and would watch films in my friend Allison's basement. Every weekend after school, we would just go out and rent like a stack because there was a local place. It's like, okay, five rentals for $10 for 5 days. And then we'd rent like 10 movies and just stay there most of the weekend watching films, pass out wherever, keep watching.
Those were the days.
Those were the days. I wish I had time to just stuff all those movies into one day. So I feel like you wake up in the morning, you're like, I'm gonna watch a movie, and you start at like 11 o'clock, and you're like, wait a minute, how's it 6 o'clock already? And it was only like an hour and a half movie.
Yes, lose all that time that youth provided you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I can fit in a couple movies in a week.
I'm a basic bitch. Like, I don't know all the ones that you guys know, but ones that I loved as a kid that I rented from Blockbuster a lot was The Pet Cemetery. I've seen 1 and 2. I loved Chucky. I even dressed as it like a little kid. Tried to scare my mom. Arachnophobia terrified me. I had a dream where I saw spiders, or not a dream. I thought it was real. That I saw them all over my walls. And then my dad had to be like, no, there's nothing there. You're fine. And April Fool's Day, I was just telling Chris about this the other day. I loved that movie. It's from the 70s, I believe. It's pretty good.
Yeah. Are you talking about April Fool's Day with Tom Wilson from Back to the Future?
The original.
Sure.
Yes. Yeah. Biff.
I have no idea.
You don't remember it? No?
Like, I didn't know who was in it. I remember seeing it.
I might have to subject you to watching the remake with me sometime.
Yeah, you said it was terrible.
It was not good.
I didn't even know that.
Yes, that's how bad it is. They had a remake. It was not good at all.
Must have been an April Fool's joke.
You know, one I really liked that a lot of people don't know is Lover's Lane. Did you guys ever see it? It's a Valentine's Day like murder. It's basically like the hook in the door kind of scenario.
Oh, so like an urban legend.
I think I remember seeing like the poster art for it, but I don't remember.
Anna Faris was in it.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Oh my God, she was huge back in like the early 2000s. Thanks to scary movies.
It's just all over the place.
Even Sofia Coppola like used her in like Lost in Translation for like a bit part.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah. See, so those choices weren't basic at all.
Yeah, they weren't basic at all. Those were good.
Well, I mean, I love all the Screams and the Freddy Kruegers and the Halloweens. You know, the normal ones. I don't know all the fancy underground ones that you guys do.
There's nothing fancy about Basket Case.
No. Or anything Frank Henenlotter does at all.
Yeah.
Nothing fancy.
Yeah, but you guys can all be like, oh, frickin' Henenlotter. It means nothing to me.
I'll tell you what. I'll introduce you to Basket Case and Brain Damage. And
oh yeah, Brain Damage is another good one by him.
Then you can join the conversation to understand why people like him.
Sounds like a plan.
Whether or not you'll like him, I'll leave that up to you. All right. Well, again, thank you guys for joining us. This was truly an honor to have you guys on here today. Like, I might be geeking out a little bit. I may have just stared vacantly a few times. So, and as our good friend Nico, who has not been with us for a little while, is very used to saying to sign off our podcast, drink some water, you thirsty bitches.
Hi, I'm Rachel.
And I'm Matt.
We are the hosts of the Strange and Beautiful Book Club. On the Strange and Beautiful Book Club, Matt and I share our adventures discovering forgotten movies, television shows, and books in the science fiction, horror, and fantasy genre.
Not necessarily good movies, though.
Oh, certainly not. We love a good, bad movie. The quirkier, the funnier, the more campy, the better.
But we talk about some classics, too.
Of course, we can't ignore our favorites like Highlander or the 1990s vampire cop television show Forever Night, which we are currently covering one episode at a time.
As if I could forget.
Oh hush, you love every minute of it.
Come join us every week as we discover, discuss, and dissect fantasy, horror, and sci-fi genre classics. New episodes release every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
So remember, sometimes the strangest things are the most beautiful too.
So be who you are and love what you love. Until next time, friends.
Bye.
Bye.